In My Bag is a brand that collaborates with talented artists from across the country to bring some unique and exclusive concepts to life at a reasonable price. For $15 off your first purchase, visit whatnot.com/invite/inmy_bag 2023. That's whatnot.com/invite/inmy_bag 2023 for $15 off your first purchase. And make sure to check them out on Instagram as well at inmy_bag 2023. Before we get into today's episode, I want to introduce you guys to another great podcast called The Better Call Daddy Show featuring Rena Freeman Watts. Each week, Rena interviews somebody and shares their life story. At the end of the episode, you get to hear from her dad, Wayne, who gives his perspective on the stories that were just told. Rena herself has some interesting stories as she's worked for such TV shows like Nanny 911 and The Jerry Springer Show, so you never know what you're going to get every time you pop in. You can listen to The Better Call Daddy Show wherever you get your podcast for free. Remember, smash those 5-star reviews as well. Don't be stingy with them. Did you know Elvis only won 3 Grammys?
I did know that. I did.
You did?
I did. Yeah, that's one thing I did know.
It's weird because in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Good. He deserves to only win 3.
Why?
Is that petty to me? I don't know.
It is kind of petty, but I love it. Not gonna lie. I'm for it.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Prescott Kelly. Today is Wednesday, February 4th. Glad to have you back with us. I got Mac Brooks of the Mac Truck Podcast with us today. Mac, before we get into it, where can people find you? We should put it in the link. We probably should talk about that off stage so we had it ready. But where can people find you? And all that good stuff before we actually get into it.
Yeah, of course. You can find me pretty much anywhere. I mean, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Pods, Google Pods, pretty much the entire lot. You can also find me on TikTok at the Truck Pod, as far as like the show stuff is concerned, and then my normal TikTok at Mac Truck with a bunch of sports balls behind it. Don't ask me which ones they are. I don't remember. Just type in Mac Truck. It should be like one of the first ones to pop up, if not the first one, because I'm a unique individual and my name is as such. So we have it.
Yeah, I kind of run the same thing. We're like, well, follow me here. I'm like, oh, it's called the Playbook Podcast, but it's the Sports Avengers. But my name is Prescott, so you can follow me wherever weird things happen.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But you can actually email the show at playbookpod34@gmail.com. Today, there's a lot to get into. Like the Super Bowl is coming up. And there's more to get to than just having the Super Bowl being part of the equation. But if you want, do you want to start there, or would you rather start with another talking point? Because I know there's a lot going on in the NFL world specifically right now.
I mean, it's Super Bowl week, so we might as well start with that and everything it entails, including the drama with the halftime show.
Yes.
Drama.
I got something for the back end for that. But so when it comes to Super Bowl, there's a lot of back and forth of like, who do you trust more? Is it Drake May because he's never been there before? Well, honestly, neither quarterback has been there before, but it's Darnold is kind of trying to exorcise the ghosts of him saying that he saw ghosts in New York. And I'm kind of on team that, where I feel like he's going to go into pumpkin mode at some point in time. But some say, well, Drake's never been there. He's been the better quarterback, but we only have a 2-year sample size technically. And we've got a 7-year sample size of Darnold. And which quarterback do you think will make the most mistakes? What do you think is going to be the most impactful part? Because quarterback's the most important position technically, but if other things affect the quarterback, that's where things get like that's where we start getting into the weeds of your quarterback doesn't matter as much. So what's your thought process on Drake versus Darnold in their first Super Bowl period, and then what the defenses can do to kind of manipulate those guys?
So, I mean, I largely agree in terms of like the quarterback itself being a important position. Being a former fullback and former defensive lineman, I err on the other side of being the defense is the most important part in football. But also largely like it's a team sport. Like it takes 11 people on each side to conquer the win. Like you like there's not one person that's playing one position that's making all the plays and making all the decisions. It's just I'm very logically thinking like that. But in terms of just like the spectacle, um, I again largely agree with like okay the sample size. We have just about 7 8 years of Sam Darnold, and we have 2 years of Drake May. Um, I mean very similar makeups though. Okay, like Drake May took over the reins, getting drafted to the Patriots. Got a new head coach and now has just kind of turned it full circle with minimal mistakes. I think that's the thing for me is it's been with minimal mistakes in terms of like he doesn't have a high interception rate. He has his average pass per yards is just about 9. It's like 8.9, 8.72 or something. So like he's done all the things right and he's made all the right calls in terms of like graduating from being a rookie quarterback to what we see now in his second year. Like obviously like we all know history repeats itself with there being a sophomore slump. Like we've seen it with everybody. Sam Darnold had it, Aaron Rodgers had it, like and ever Tom Brady, hell Tom Brady had it. Like
CJ Stroud has had a sophomore and junior slump.
junior slump, yeah, absolutely. And like and it's largely ineffective when people sit there and say, "Oh well, he's only a second year." Okay, he could have did it last year if they won a couple more games. If we're going to be completely honest, but that's just not how it happened. So, I largely think that Drake May and the Patriots, just in terms of how everything has gone about with their team thus far, they have all the makeup on paper. They should win this game. If I'm being completely honest, on paper, they should win this game.
You think the Patriots should?
I do. I do, just because of the caliber of people on their team. However, you could also
Really?
say yes, but you could also say the exact same thing for the Seahawks. The Seahawks,
No,
and yes,
you
you
don't
nope,
consider
nope,
that.
hold on, nope, don't interrupt me. I'm not done talking. You can wait. But when you look at it from the other side, it is the exact same thing. So I largely think like, and I guess essentially I'm saying I'm split. But again, when you look at the same exact thing for the Seahawks, you have a veteran. In fact, you could probably say more for the Seahawks because they have more veteranship on their team. Okay, like they have more veteranship. They have a veteran quarterback. They have veteran wide receivers. They have a veteran defense. They also don't have a veteran coach, though, in terms of they don't have the coach doesn't have the pedigree that Vrabel does. But vice versa, Vrabel doesn't quite have the versatility that the Seahawks have. So it's very much like give or take. Like, do I take the Patriots because of how young they are and talented? Yeah, they have a couple of veteran pieces, or do I take the team that's got literally more veterans but a younger coach? Like, who do you take?
Well,
Because the last time we talked about this, the points, but well, we're just gonna go like with the short statistics. Like when we first talked about this 2 weeks ago, the point spread on ESPN and ESPN bets was 4.5 for the Seahawks. Okay. Now, and I predicted this. I don't know if it's changed because I haven't looked at it since we last talked, but I predicted that the point spread would drop to at least 1 to 2.5. And I don't.
last time I checked, the Seahawks were 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah, yeah, knew it. Yeah, see, that goes to my point. Is like they both on paper look like they should win. One maybe has a little bit more of an advantage, but when you look at the performance and what the Patriots have done all season, it's the exact same. It's the exact same. The only thing you could probably give the Seahawks is that they have more veteranship in terms of players,
Well,
like
that's the
year
thing.
wise.
I don't know if that's necessarily. It depends on what part you want to nitpick of veteranship versus youngship, if you will. Because then
Yeah,
like Vrabel has obviously more head coaching experience or just coaching experience in general than McDonald. Like that cannot be debated one way or another, right? Like he's just been in the league longer. But when I look at as far as the players are concerned, the Seahawks have drafted crazy well over the past 4 or 5 years. Now they have Dexter Lawrence, he's had a resurgence since he left Dallas, but that's largely a pretty young group for the most part in Seattle. And then with New England, it's the same thing, right? They still have like Stevenson's still pretty young. They still have Drake, Booty, Collins, Hunter Henry. Like they're not old by any stretch of the imagination, but they're getting up there in years of like the football life. But it feels like they're both. It just really depends on where you want to pinpoint what is the old head group and what is the new head group. But I just when I look at these two teams back to back. Okay, well, let me ask you this, because it seems like you're more high on the Patriots, and I feel like they'll still. I'm not surprised about a win either way. But let me ask you this: if either team wins, I'm not surprised. You're in the Super Bowl for a damn reason, right? But which team do you think is more likely to blow out the other team? New England blows out Seattle, or Seattle blows out New England?
If we're talking blowouts, I frankly will err on the side of the Seahawks.
Like 13 points or higher, let's say.
The Seahawks, for sure. For sure. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm leaning more towards the Patriots, because I'm not. I am glad to see them in it. Like, I'm more or less just looking at it again. And again, I say this every time that I come on with you. I'm still in a player mindset. Like, I'm literally, like, I scouted this entire game as a player. Like,
well, it seemed like you were
it's frustrating.
It seemed like you were pretty pro Patriot at the beginning, though. Like, you're like, I know the New England because of Rabel and their leadership, and now I just want to make sure. I don't want to sway anybody in their opinion.
Fair. No, I'm not, like I said, I really don't have a dog in the fight. I'm looking at this from both sides of the aspects. That's also why I said what I said about the Seahawks, is because when you look at it on paper, okay, the Patriots and their Super Bowl history, their playoff history, all the things. Also, the Seahawks, the exact same thing. Their Super Bowl history, their playoff history. But then when you really look at it, it's like, okay, and this is more or less like a funny, but it adds into it. The Seahawks also still to this day have been known for Pete Carroll and the unfortunate decision that he made. And I don't know how many times Coach McDonald has heard that question. Like Sam Darnold, I was watching I think I was watching Get Up, or like just some a couple minutes of Sports Center before Pat McAfee came on, and they were literally doing like the pregame and pre-conferences and all the things. And so there were like 3 different reporters that asked the same question differently, like 3 or 4 different times. And Sam Darnold is sitting there in the chair and he's like, how many times are people going to ask me this question? Like, I mean, it's just like, it's a stigma, unfortunately.
Well, the thing is, like, for me, and I made this talking point relatively clear for a long time, is I think that pre and post game conferences are largely absurd. You can, I personally, you don't need Chat GPT. I can make the outcome of a question for you, because they're robots. They're supposed to be. And when we get anything that's not robotic, then we start going to, does he want to get traded? Is he going to get released? Is he, like, that's where the narratives start to come from. But with the whole like pedigree of championship or not, I look at the same way as college football to a degree of, like, you don't have the same players. Like, I don't care what the Patriot lineage doesn't matter to me. The Seahawks and their couple championship runs in the last 15 years doesn't matter to me. Their coaches aren't there. The ownership, well, Robert Kraft is still there, but the ownership is largely different. The people making decisions are different. Players, coach, like, everything is different. So I think that one of the things that we do as sports fans, that sometimes we lean too much on the heritage and we're not looking so much into we can't have it both ways, is the way that I look at it, where we want to look so back into the history of this is why this makes something great, but at the same time, it's everything has to be at this moment. So we largely turn over coaches and players and GMs so quickly. So the history of the Patriots and Seahawks doesn't matter to me, because those 2 guys who are coaching right now are not the same 2 guys who were coaching when Malcolm Butler intercepted Tom Brady. So like, I get where the lineage comes from. It doesn't hold a whole lot of weight to me.
No, I can absolutely see that. And in most cases, I would largely agree. I just think it's kind of unfortunate, but there's almost no way to really avoid the lineage factor of like this entire thing, spectacle, whatever you want to call it. It's not the best, no, but unfortunately, like I said, unfortunately, I just don't think there's a way to really avoid the lineage and his like historic, you know, everything coming leading into it. I will agree saying that um there shouldn't be much there shouldn't be much leaning into the lineage in terms of where we're at now with football in 2026. Like I absolutely agree with you in that respect, but I just don't think there's necessarily a way to avoid the fact that there's lineage between the both historic programs. It's kind of like a
It's like it's an unwritten rule of baseball, basically.
yeah,
Like
basically that yeah.
these two teams have met each other beforehand, and it's weird because it's been about 10 years, right? So you have players who may not even know some of these scandals that happened back in the day with New England, and you may have
Mhm.
some players who are very abreast of the situation and harbor some kind of issue with one team or the other. So it's hard to tell what everybody's going through technically when you think about it. But in the grand scheme of things, like it is when people talk about like Notre Dame versus anybody or Army versus Navy, I'm like it's a rivalry because it's a rivalry, but these people don't really hate each other. Like we don't really. There's the one moment in NFL history of those two teams facing off each other, and it is the did he catch it? Is it an interception? We want Tom Brady to fail. Like there's all of that encompassed in us as sports fans. It's weird. I'm just not really sure if I can really. I personally don't really buy into, especially now because everything is so. I don't want to sound like an old head, but I am trying to be a realist where I don't think that most people who play the sport to a certain degree hate another player as much after winning a championship as we have had in years past because everything is so AAU based. More players know each other more. I don't think the vitriol is as high. So I don't think the pushback is as high. I understand that the sport of competition is to I want to beat you at everything that you want to beat me at, but I don't think the pushback is quite largely as heavy, at least from the players. I think the fans care more than the players do at this point in time.
And that's where I'm at with this whole thing is like in 2026 or the the 2020s era of sports fandom and athleticism and all the things is I think the fans absolutely care more as far as reputation and as far as like how their
Well,
team is viewed, like
I feel gambling
they
has to
care
do
very
with
much
it.
about they care. Oh
I
yeah,
feel like
oh you bet you're behind. Oh yeah.
gambling has just exponentially pushed this thing down. Like it's accelerated the fanhood when it's not really fanhood.
Yeah, yeah, it's very much it's the gambling aspect of sports has really kind of created a bunch of what us old heads fear and kind of loathe the most is bandwagon fandom or fake fandom or fair weather fans. Like those types of fans are ones that people that have been dedicated to their teams and watched them grow and fall and go through the trenches and all the things. Like it I put money on a team that I don't like, but I can almost guarantee myself to get a couple bucks because that team's really good. Sure, I'm going to become a fan of them just so I can make a dollar, but it's quite interesting because now, I mean, it kind of just tilting off the topic just a little bit. It's the same thing in college sports now, the exact same thing. Just college sports versus the professional sector of sports, but in terms of just football, it's definitely created a bunch of fair weather fans or fans that just want to bet but don't know anything about the sport or sports in general. If I'm really going to be honest.
I think what it's really developed more than anything else is that um, people just want to be included.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
I feel like that's more what it's coming down to. It's not like, oh, you don't know, and I'm really glad that I've evolved more than what I used to be as a Bills fan. I'm like, oh, you don't know Buffalo Bills football. I will murder you when it comes to trivia. I will, and that's something I hung my head on, and I thought I was really proud of what I knew. And guess what? It doesn't mean a damn thing. people are allowed to like what they like, but I'm with you because that is one that irritates me is who's your favorite team? X. Why? I don't know. No, come really.
Yeah,
Why? Why?
I am the exact same way.
That that
It
that is
bothers
where
me.
that's what gets me more than anything else. Is like, well, why? And again, like I don't care what the problem is, but there's a designation, right? If you tell me that you're really super deeply invested into something, and I call you out on it, you better have the answer for it. And if you're just saying I like this, I live in Alaska where the Seahawks are one of the most popular franchises up here. Well, why are you a fan? I'm like, and I know what it is. It's either A, it's Russell Wilson. It's B, it's because they won a Super Bowl. 3, it's because it's the closest team to the state of Alaska. Or 4, it's just I like the neon jerseys. But the
Yeah.
people who think that they're diehard fans, I'm like, do you know who Ricky Waters is? And they go, no. You can be a fan of the team, but just tell me that you like it.
Yeah.
I have a weird disconnect with that. I've gotten better. I'm almost 42. I have gotten better about it, but it still irritates me a bit.
Yeah, see, I'm largely the same way, and in fact, my wife gets on me about this because I unfortunately do this with 99% of things in my life. But it's a logical way of thinking. If you're going to tell me you like or dislike something, don't just tell me you like or dislike something. Why do you dislike or like something? Why are you a fan of something, or why are you a fair weather fan? I will accept any answer. I just need to know an answer, or else I'm highly inclined to not believe you. It's very frustrating at times, especially, and just going back to the sports tip, it's so frustrating, especially being a Dallas fan. There are so many fair weather Dallas fans, but you can't tell me who Eddie Too Tall Jones was. You couldn't tell me who Charles Haley was. Like you couldn't tell me how Jerry Jones got his start.
If
And you
somebody can
don't you
tell
don't you
who Charles
necessarily
Haley is, they got a lot more problems than just that.
right like you don't have to know every single detail. You don't have to know oh, you know, you don't have to like I'm not saying you have to know a bunch, but give me a bleeping reason. Give me a reason. Give me a
Oh,
bleeping
you ain't got that button?
thank you. Yes, give me a reason as to why you like or dislike something. Like it can be 3 words, but it can't be just because or they have nice uniforms. Like that drives me nuts. Like
Right.
what was it that attracted you to your interest or dislike into something or said sports team? And I think that's the other thing with just this Super Bowl alone is like I've seen so many people just be like, "Oh, I'm not going to watch it." Oh, yes, you are. Like, let's be honest. Like, just because your team's
Well,
not in it and you actually like football or you pay attention, don't sit there. Don't
you're ruining the tease to later. This is radio. You know how it goes.
listen.
We
I
also
just
have,
can't help it. It's
I know you're passionate. I get
I
you.
am. I'm
Appreciate
very it's
into the chat real quick. Niles, I think that social media has given casuals a platform to say any and all thing. That is something that will. There's that. Um, but it's not just any and all thing. I believe it's just the fact that they can just say whatever they want to at any time. Like, well, I guess that's kind of confirming what he said. They can say anything in this and all thing, but it's just social media has become a platform where everybody thinks that they're Skip Bayless, where they can just say whatever they want to and then not hold themselves accountable for what they say because you can delete it. Like if you really want to go back and screenshot it, or if you screenshot in the moment, you want to be that petty, you can. But largely, that's what it's become: is that social media has given people a platform where they can just say whatever they want to through text because most of them are cowards, and then not back it up when they're wrong. And he's largely right on that. But go ahead.
I absolutely agree. I think and just to kind of add to that, I for me it's more or less okay, like again, if you're going to say something one way or the other, stand on it. Give us even a little bit. We may not have to agree with what you're saying, but at least you have a reasoning for what you're saying. You have some form of logic in some way, shape, or form. And I think the other thing is like people are getting in this spot to where they feel like, oh, like I can say, any and all things and I'm not going to get called out for it. but that's why people screenshot stuff like this is what you said, like basically trying to make you take accountability for what you said or did not say, I guess, depending on what context you're using it in. Just to kind of go in the realm of sports is like, okay, people are going to sit here and, say, do an act, have all these opinions, have nothing to back it up. But then when they see people like us on here having these discussions and being in this type of space that we are and actually explaining what we're thinking, why we're thinking, how we're thinking it, or why we disagree with something, they don't want to have, people don't have the balls to use the platform for what it's for, not just to try to have some shtick or try to get some popularity or get some clicks or whatever. Like no, like literally, or nobody's
Yeah,
gonna take you seriously.
we're standing on game, 10 toes down.
Facts.
I'm from Texas, so I mean, like that's how Houston goes down with 10 toes down. Represent.
Oh, I know it. Listen, I'm from Georgia. Okay, that's not a thing you can tell me because I'm definitely know it.
Well, I'm not sure what the catchphrase is there, but that's how we get down in Texas.
That's
Like,
one. That's one of them. I'll tell you that right now. 10 toes down all around. I'm with it.
So moving on. So the mid-level quarterback salary stuff is really kind of getting on my nerves because I've been laughed at for the last 4 years saying that stop paying quarterbacks to keep them. If you don't think they're great, they're every generation, if you will, there's 3 to 5 who are, what number do you want? I will give it to you. But these mediocre quarterbacks keep getting monster deals. And every time that we get to a Super Bowl, the storyline seems to change of how do you build a team, right? For the longest time, it was draft a rookie quarterback, build around him, and that's how you get there. Nope, that's not really actually true. Like that's happened twice, I think. That's not really the narrative. It can be how you can start to build a franchise, but you don't just get to Super Bowls that way. Right now, we're doing this again with Sam Darnold. Well, all you got to do is just get the mid-level quarterback who's making $30 million a year, not $50 million a year. Guess what? No quarterback wants to take a 40% discount. You're in that discount bin for a reason. Is it logical to do it that way? Yes, but that's what I've been telling you guys for 4 straight years. Stop paying every quarterback top of the market money. But now that Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl, it's, well, that's the way you do it. That's not the way you do it. You actually kind of lucked into it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've been largely enough on that same scale in terms of like, okay, there's a difference between keeping a quarterback just to keep him so you don't have to shell out more money to get somebody else, and then there's the reasoning for keeping a quarterback because you need him, like you actually need a quarterback, your backups aren't sufficeable enough, whatever have you, or they're finally starting to build that consistency that you're looking for, whether it's from the smallest thing, pass completions, to the biggest thing, which is winning games, getting to the Super Bowl, getting championships, that type of thing. But I largely agree with the fact that and I don't know where this stigma has, and maybe it's just something that's kind of lost on me, but you don't necessarily have to start a franchise with a quarterback. Let's just put that out there. You don't have to start a good, even a decent franchise with a quarterback. You could probably skate by with having a second round, third round pick as a quarterback. If as long as you have a formidable enough coach that can teach you how to read a defense, how not to put so much spin on the ball, all the things and all the technical concepts to teach a quarterback to play at a high level. You could start it with a running back. You could start it with an offensive line. That's where you probably should start if you're good, if you're, depending on if you're the offensive minded, defensive minded, all the things. But you don't necessarily have to draft a quarterback to start your franchise. Like that's what drives nuts, is like, oh, people are like, oh, this draft is so quarterback heavy. Okay, look at what they did in college and compare them to some of the similar quarterbacks that are in the league now. Like some of it just doesn't match.
No, but the thing for me is that the quarterback position, and I'm speaking from my angle and the way that I look at things is that it's such a crapshoot, but the anomalies are where people kind of want to lay they want to lay in that bed where it's like, well, you could just get Kurt Warner, you could just get Tony Romo, you could just get. It's like, no, that's not how that works. That's the reason why the percentages are so small. So I think that you're right. So largely you want to have everything built around somebody. And I have an unorthodox opinion when it comes to running backs. So like when Ashton Genty was picked by the Raiders this past year, I'm like, I don't have a problem with him being picked early. I have a problem with him going to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like that was my issue. If you think that you have the offensive line, you have a quarterback, and because I look at this thing long term, that's always been my thing. I look at more the analytics of like the monetary values and things like my mind just does that. So when Saquon Barkley was done with New York, it's that's a dumb. Do you know how many people said that was a dumb pickup because of what he looked like in New York? It was astronomical. How many people said Philly made a huge mistake? I'm like, do you understand the kind of talent you're getting and he's not having to play in New York anymore? Hashtag New Jersey. It's crazy to me. So for me, like the Bijan Robinson experience, kind of the same thing. I feel like he's one of the best football players in football, like not running back, football player. And if you get the right coach around, maybe it works. But I have no problem drafting a quarterback. These are the two things that are unconventional wisdom. Is I have no problem getting a running back early if you have the offensive line and you feel like he's the missing piece because he's early enough. Because you certainly shouldn't pay him a second contract. Right? Like there's that. And I don't have a problem drafting an older quarterback out of the draft, someone who's like 23. I don't have a problem with that either because they're not always going to be Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Peyton Manning and play until they're 97 years old. Those are the two things where I don't have a problem with it. As long as you can justify the pick, I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. The one thing I will also just add in terms of just your point as far as not having a problem with Ashton Genty being selected, high, it was where he went. And unfortunately, for Fernando Mendoza Jr., it is the same exact thing for him right now. Just won the national championship, is a Heisman, the Heisman Trophy winner for the year as well, and is going to end up the number one pick to the Raiders.
Man, I hope that guy goes back into college because I
don't think he has any more eligibility.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think he does. I'll double check, but
there's no way that man is the Brandon Weeden of Indiana.
No, he was at Cal last year. So he was at Cal 2 years ago. So he was at Cal and then transferred to Indiana the same year that Kirk Cinetti took the head coaching position at Indiana, which was last year.
Oh, I thought he was already on AARP.
No.
That was the reason why he couldn't get out. Yeah.
No, and unless there was like an injury or something that I missed, I'm almost positive he's had five years in college as far as being an active player, but I can't quite remember something to look up real quick. But I don't think he has any more eligibility. I lied. He does. He has one more year of eligibility in college football. That is
man,
absolutely crazy to me.
That's why you go from Indiana to Dayton and then make them a national championship and take Cignetti with you because Cignetti's going to make NFL and NBA coaches lose their job in about 4 months.
Oh yeah. Well, and let's and there's the other thing is and it kind of goes with our NFL talk as well. Like looking at what Curt Cignetti has done in the past 3 years, he rebuilt James Madison. Okay, he has now rebuilt the most losing college football team in the Hoosiers. When he came and took the coaching job in Indiana, the Indiana Hoosier college football team was the most losing college football team in college football history. He turns that 180 from that. So his first year, he goes from
They lost
the
2
having
games
the
in 2 years, and they were all last.
literally, yes, literally, he had taken the most losing team and taken them to the Big Ten championship, lost the Big Ten championship, and then went and lost in the first round to Notre Dame. Then you turn it 180, exactly 180 all the way around. You go undefeated. You go 16-0. You win the Big Ten championship. You win all three of your semi games, playoff games. And then the last one, the last semi you play before the national championship, you face a very formidable Oregon Big Ten team in conference foe, and you beat them again. It was already hard to beat them the first damn game. You beat them again, and you go to the national championship, and you put a shellacking. Like you just
Right.
you put a shellacking on the Hurricanes, who are also a storied program.
Because I didn't watch the game, unfortunately, with my work schedule, I don't get to watch any playoff football anymore because I'm the new guy where I work. So it is basically just, yeah, you'll work. Well, we say that you work. So I've not watched any football in the past like 6-7 weeks, basically. Nigel said that situational great defense allows you to compete for championships. It was a long-winded thing, but it's kind of what I feel like situational defense is the same thing with situational offense. Like we see great offenses that put up crazy numbers in the regular season, right? And then we try to transcribe those over to the playoffs. And that's always been one of my things with Josh Allen is that everybody loves him because he puts the big plays. He's a minotaur. He has a great arm, runs over players. But when it really comes down to it, that team is in overtime or in the fourth quarter has melted offensively multiple times. Like everybody just remembers the moment of the 13-second Chiefs game, but they forget everything else. But so situational football for me on the offensive side is the exact same way. Like know your limitations offensively. Know like it's okay if your drive is basically a field position flipping standard. You know, I'm okay with that. But to wrap up the mid-level quarterback thing and then get on to the coaching situation is I personally don't think that we'll ever get to a point where the mid-level exception is only going to be for somebody who is largely in Darnold's shoes. That's the way I look. Is that you have to be a first round quarterback who has kind of fluttered around, and you're going to make between backup and starter money. But to search for that and seek for that person, I think is outlandish because if they're a first round pick, they have the ego and their agent has the ego. That's something that people don't take into consideration. Is that it's not just one person's opinion that makes a contract. So you can search for Sam Darnold this year all you want to. Doesn't mean he's going to sign it. Doesn't mean his agent believes in it. So is it a great formula? Sure. But is it going to work out? I don't really believe so. Like actively searching for, like you have to go first rounder or
okay
or go trade for him because Nigel did make this point, and I kind of agree with it as well. It's like second and third round quarterbacks are largely the
destined.
Well, yeah, because they're the purgatory of quarterbacks, right? You get a first round, just because you draft a first round quarterback does not mean that you're going to get a Super Bowl. That is not how that math works because we've seen super amounts of quarterbacks not make it or become what we consider complete busts who are first round quarterbacks. But we've seen 6th rounders, 7th rounders, and undrafted free agents make Super Bowls and even win them, but they are the absolute outlier. The first round is largely where you see the success, but you also see the other side of the absolute extreme of that's the worst player I've ever seen. But now we see the resurgence of guys like Baker, like Darnold, who are saying, well, what if we just hold on to him? And it's that's where this economy of quarterback play is so dicey. Because if you want to cut bait with him, then cut bait with him. If you want to keep him, you keep him. But would you like to keep on to Bryce Young for the next 7 years to maybe he figures it out? because that's
after
where
this season, yeah, I
But
would
that's
say
just-
after this season, yes.
but
Seasons
the
prior,
first two-
no.
exactly, and that's why it's so weird is because like when they switch teams, like it's people think that they're super smart in figuring these things out. It's all a crapshoot, man. Your odds are better, but it's still a crapshoot.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you in that aspect. I mean, and I can't really say this for Sam Darnold because he wasn't a second round, third round pick. He was picked like first
The
round,
number
like
3. He was a number 3 overall.
3. Yeah, I was gonna say number 3 or number 4 in his class. So he was literally right on the end, like right at the start of the lottery picks itself. So I was like, all right, well, I can't really say that, but Sam Darnold, it would really be a perfect example for this because historically speaking, anything past the lottery rounds of draft picks in the NFL in terms of quarterback play is exactly that, a death sentence, or just the probability is like dwindles down more and more and more and more and more. The further down you go, the worse off it gets. Unless there's just somebody that, and this is somebody I actually have to use as an example. Shedeur Sanders. Sanders was projected to go into the first round, maybe later first round, and then was projected to go first round. Then because of his cockiness, whatever was the antics that he showed, and because the league wanted to make an example out of him just by saying just because you're Sanders doesn't mean you're good enough to get drafted or to go in the higher rounds because of your name. Like, okay, yeah, he went to Colorado. He had 2 solid seasons there. His last season didn't fare, as well as it probably should have. But then you have to look at what he did before getting to Colorado.
So you're
his first
taking
2 seasons at Jackson State.
I would say you're talking about Jackson State in his first year at Colorado.
Then. Yep. And then moving on, it's the exact same thing. Now he was a 5th round quarterback, got snubbed, had the example made out of him, still had an example made out of him in terms of how he was treated at the Browns organization. Because I will unalive myself on this hill. Dillon Gabriel is not a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. Like, there's zero reason why Dillon Gabriel should have had any starts before Shedeur Sanders. But the reason he got them, one, is because he's a lefty. For whatever reason, lefties are a little bit,
like that would be the reason why they
more
wouldn't.
Special.
I'm going to put that in a poll. Is Mac Brooks a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel?
I am. Try me. I am.
I'm going to put it on the universe.
Do it. I don't care. Do it. I'm a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. I also know how not to get hit. I'm also left-handed. I'm also just about as tall as him. He's 5'11". I'm 5'10". I got probably 50 pounds on him. Don't play with me. Listen, there's no reason why Dillon Gabriel should have had. And there's also, if we're gonna kind of keep going down this route, there's no reason outside of Joe Flacco that Kenny Pickett should have been getting reps. That Dillon Gabriel should. They had 6 quarterbacks on the roster. 6. Who has 6 quarterbacks on the? Why? Tell me this. Why? Why do you need 6 quarterbacks? That's like me ordering 6 cheeseburgers and saying I don't want a heart attack.
You just turned to Stephanie A. Smith.
Yes, I'm saucy. Like, it drives me nuts.
You are now Stephanie A. Smith. That's your new name. I'm gonna rename you in the chat. Stephanie A. Smith.
That's fine. Do it. Stephanie A. Smith. I'm for it.
For me, because I don't watch a lot of college football, right? So I don't perpetuate things that I don't know. What I was seeing was he was supposed to be a first round quarterback, right? That's what I was seeing the entire time. Not number 1, not number 3, whatever it was, but he was supposed to be a first round quarterback. Then I see, day 2 comes around, I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. But I had the exact same, it's the reverse thing, but we're getting ready to get into this with the black coaching stuff is I had no notification at all that Baker Mayfield was going to be the number 1 overall pick when he was selected until I woke up at 7:30 in the morning and they go, Cleveland, I got a notification. And this is why I turn off my notifications is because at 7:30 in the morning, NFL.com is Baker Mayfield, projected first overall pick. I'm like, this is some spam. No,
Yep.
no, this is not real life, and it happened, and it's kind of the reverse. It's the same organization, but kind of in reverse. But when it comes to Shedeur, because you brought it up, like I don't know how good he is or how he isn't. I know he's getting. I will defend the man on the whole Pro Bowl thing, is because the Pro Bowl, like nobody cares about it anymore. And to more clarify that is, I just feel like we have to really designate this as, if you are selected a Pro Bowler, you're a Pro Bowler. Like Snoop Huntley, the every other backup quarterback in the history of the NFL, you have quarterback associated with you because you didn't make the playoffs, or your team did make the playoffs and your quarterback's hurt, or they decided not to play. Like that is not a Pro Bowl quarterback. So I will stand up for the people who are saying he should not be a Pro Bowl quarterback. I hope that you agree with that. I also agree that I don't think that he was a 5th round talent. I think he should have been higher. But as somebody who doesn't watch college football, I don't know where I land him at, but it's not 5th round for me.
Yeah, and I see, and I've been on the fence about Shedeur Sanders becoming or getting that selection to be a Pro Bowl quarterback, because I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan. However, I'm also a realistic football fan, and I largely agree with the fact that, like, just because your quarterback or player that got selected didn't want to play, or is playing in a Super Bowl, whatever that is. And I completely agree with, like, okay, giving those next couple names on the list that didn't get selected, essentially giving them the opportunity. I understand that. But it kind of seems like we're just arbitrarily like, oh, okay, somebody's hurt and we need to fill a spot. Here, you now get to be a Pro Bowler, or you get to be an All-Star, or whatever that looks like. And I'm more or less old school in terms of like those types of accolades. Like, I think players are eventually going to get there. I think Shedeur Sanders was going to be a Pro Bowler this year, but because he didn't get the starts and all the things, it kind of just his chances of that just outside of the fact that the Pro Bowl isn't what we grew up with, as far as like being selected almost like a second draft, like being selected for the Pro Bowl from each team, putting on the pads and playing a game of football as a Pro Bowler with as an 11-on-11 player, and now we're playing flag and doing skills because it's, for whatever reason, largely different now, and I can't seem to figure out why. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Huh. I'm not sure what happened, but we're here on the Playbook Podcast. My name is Mac Truck. Prescott Kelly has kind of dipped. He must have had some internet issues, but kind of just going back to what we were just discussing as far as the just the stint of how players and quarterbacks are getting selected for the Pro Bowl these days, and how it's changed, or how much it hasn't changed, I should say. When people are getting selected for these, it used to be a staple. It used to be something that people looked forward to, like, oh, my quarterback was a Pro Bowler from this team. My offensive lineman is a Pro Bowler from this team. And it's largely enough not that anymore. It's more or less like, who made the flashiest play from this team? You get to be a Pro Bowler now and add to that spectacle of being a Pro Bowler. So it's just very largely enough not something that you're highly sought after anymore. Like, it's more or less a spectacle than it is a serious looking game. It's very much just, I don't want to call it run of the mill, but it's very much like, oh, okay, you didn't make Pro Bowl last year. Okay, we'll make you a Pro Bowl this year. You're a 3-time Pro Bowler. Okay, we'll give you a break and you can come back and probably be selected next year. It's very much, it's kind of the same thing when it comes to the basketball, the NBA All-Star game, the WNBA All-Star game, the MLB All-Star game, those types of things. So I think it's a little bit more of a spectacle with the NFL being one of the most popular sports in America, if not the most popular sport. So it's frustrating and exciting at the same time. Like, especially depending on who's making these, like what players are making the Pro Bowl selections, like what players are filling out the slots for the Pro Bowl selections themselves. It's quite interesting to me how they do it. Um, and I think some of the way we're looking at it is like definitely obviously from a fandom's perspective, like, oh, okay, this person made a Pro Bowl, they've never made a Pro Bowl. Okay, but the Pro Bowl isn't the same. It's largely enough strange to me to really kind of look at it overall. Um, and I'm against, but I'm for the realm of people getting selected, but I wish it would go back to the old school way of things. And if you're just joining us, thank you. We're on the Playbook podcast. Obviously, I am not Prescott Kelly. My name is Mac Truck, hostess, producer, all things of the Mac Truck podcast. You can find it anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find it here in the Sports Vendors page itself. Prescott Kelly has had some technical difficulties, but this is why I also know how to do my job. So we're going to kind of stick to what we know here with the Playbook podcast. Kind of go off some chats here. Just from a couple people, mainly Mr. Nigel. And if you're just joining us, we were discussing how quarterbacks and teams are looked at in terms of the mid-C versions of contracts. Like, teams are keeping quarterbacks to just keep them rather than keeping quarterbacks because they need them and paying them a different amount of money each time. It's very strange. It's very interesting to me. And it's very just, okay, we're going to sit here and keep you because we want to keep you, but we don't want to keep you because we need you, or it's the complete opposite. It's just very strange, very interesting to me. And I think with some of the things that Prescott had to say kind of before he was having technical issues was going more or less along that realm of things, and he's actually he's messaging me right now. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to shut this portion down and come back later once we figure out the technical issues. But if you're still watching, if you're still out here sharing, make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, and tuning into the Playbook podcast with Prescott Kelly multiple times a week here on StreamYard and the Sports Avengers Network. Make sure you are highly engaging, adding yourself to the group, and sharing it with somebody who watches the game like we do. Also, make sure you're tuning into the Mac Truck podcast. We will be live today, later, here, back on the Sports Avengers Sports Network, as well as TikTok Live and pretty much anywhere else you get your video streaming pleasure. Okay, my name is Mac Truck. Like I said, Prescott Kelly had some technical difficulties, and that's totally okay. That's what happens in the realm of radio and sports viewing. So for those of you who hopped on, I appreciate it. For those of you who didn't, I appreciate it. Again, make sure you're smashing the 5-star likings and ratings, because if you're not, I'm inclined to think you are a hater by nature. Okay, my name is Mac Truck. We'll see you later.